The Secret Playbook of Real Wealth. Have you ever sat back and wondered why it seems like some people just glide through life, stacking up wealth without breaking a sweat while others work their fingers to the bone and still feel like they're stuck on a treadmill? Here's the raw truth. The wealthy aren't just lucky or smarter. They're playing a totally different Gamia game with hidden rules that most people never get to see. And today, I'm throwing back the curtain on those rules. Forget what you've been told about working harder or hustling more. The difference between building real wealth and living paycheck to paycheck isn't always about earning more. It's about avoiding the financial landmines that quietly sabotage your future. I'm talking about the 10 biggest money traps that drain your bank account, disguised as must-haves or symbols of success. These aren't just bad investments, they're wealth destroyers, silent thieves that keep most Americans from ever getting ahead. Take it from Warren Buffett, a guy who could buy just about anything but chooses not to. The real secret of the rich isn't that they chase bigger paychecks, it's that they sidestep these financial pitfalls the rest of us fall into, usually without even realizing it. Here's the kicker. Every single one of these traps is part of a larger system engineered to keep you broke, funneling your cash straight into someone else's pocket. So buckle up, because I'm about to walk you through the 10 wealth killers hiding in plain sight. Pay special attention to the last. One odds are, it's sitting in your driveway right now. Wealth killer number 1. The brand new car illusion. Let's start with one of the biggest money mistakes out there, buying a brand new car. That new car smell is basically the scent of your money evaporating. Did you know that the second you roll off the lot, your shiny new ride drops about 15% in value? It's like watching $6,000 float out the window before you even hit a stop sign. And it only gets worse from there. After 5 years, most new cars have lost over half their value. That $40,000 SUV, now it's worth less than $20,000. But if you financed it, guess what? You're still on the hook for the full price plus thousands more in interest, sometimes paying nearly $50,000 when all is said and done. Meanwhile, the truly wealthy? They see right through this trap. Warren Buffett, billionaire extraordinaire, drove a used Cadillac. Why? Because he knows cars aren't investments. They're expenses that get cheaper every year. Wealth is built by owning assets that go up in value, not down. The smart move? Shop for cars that are 2 or 3 years old, low mileage, still under warranty. You'll save $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 compared to new and get nearly the exact same features. And if you're still tempted by that fresh from the factory feeling, do the real math. Investing $40,000 in the S&P 500 for 20 years could turn into $186,000. Is that fleeting new car buzz really worth trading your future for? But if you think losing money on a car is painful, just wait till you hear about the next financial trapone that disguises itself as a piece of paradise but could leave you locked in a lifelong financial nightmare. Wealth killer number 2. The vacation dream that turns into a financial nightmare. Ever been pitched on owning your own slice of paradise by the beach, in the mountains, or maybe right by Disney World? Sounds dreamy, right? That's the magic trick behind Timeshares deal that hooks millions of hopefuls every year. The reality? It's one of the worst financial decisions you can make, and it's almost impossible to escape once you've signed on the dotted line. Here's how the trap works. It starts with a hefty, upfront payment, often $20,000 or more, just for the privilege of visiting the same property once a year. But that's not the end of your commitment. You'll be hit with annual maintenance fees, starting at $800 and often climbing past $2,000, even if you never use your investment. And those costs are only going up year after year. Think you can sell it if you change your mind? Good luck. The resale market for timeshares is a ghost town filled with desperate owners trying to unload their contracts for pennies on the dollar. Some folks get so desperate, they'll pay someone just to take it off their hands. Just ask Robert from Miami. After spending $30,000 on his Florida timeshare, he couldn't even get a single offer when he tried to sell it for $15,000 5 years later. Meanwhile, people who actually understand money? They just rent when and where they want to, travel no contracts, no annual fees, and the freedom to stay anywhere in the world. Platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, or even old-school hotel deals give you all the flexibility for a fraction of the long-term cost. And if you do get stuck in a timeshare, There are specialist companies that can help you get out, but even that escape route can cost you. Lesson learned: don't sign away your financial freedom for a fantasy. Before you put your name on any long-term contract, ask yourself, does this give me more choices or just chain me to years of payments? Wealth killer number 3. Trading your future for a label the designer trap. Let's be real. There's a rush that comes with flashing a $2,000 Louis Vuitton bag or strapping on a $10,000 Rolex. For a fleeting moment, you might feel like you've arrived successful, admired, maybe even envied. But here's the uncomfortable reality. A lot of people showing off those luxury labels are up to their ears in debt, while the real millionaires? They're walking right past the boutique windows, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. It's the great American paradox. We're bombarded by ads and social media telling us that high-end brands equal success. Meanwhile, the ultra-wealthy think Mark Zuckerberg with his basic gray tee, or Warren Buffett living in the same house since 1958 focus on building assets, not collecting logos. They know that true wealth is about what you own, not what you wear. Let's break down the numbers. That $500 pair of designer shoes isn't just about the sticker price. It's about what that money could have become if you invested it, say, in an ETF like VTI that averages 8% a year. After 20 years, you're looking at over $20,000. And if you charge those shoes to a credit card and let interest pile up, you could easily double the cost. All for what? A couple of compliments and a fleeting sense of validation. Does this mean you should never treat yourself to something nice? Of course not. But the wealthy have a rule: invest first, splurge later. If that luxury item costs more than 1% of your net worth, it's too soon to buy it. And if you truly love designer brands, there are smarter ways to enjoy them, like shopping, resale for authentic deals, or using subscription services that let you rent the look without draining your wallet. But at least with designer gear, you're getting something tangible. The next wealth trap is even more sinister. It sells you nothing but hope, drains billions from Americans every year, and leaves most people with absolutely nothing to show for it. Wealth killer number 4. The Hope Hustle How. Lottery tickets and gambling steal your dreams. Picture this. You're standing in line at the gas station, and there it is, the glittering promise of a scratch-off ticket or a multi-million-dollar lottery jackpot. For just a couple of bucks, you could change your whole life, right? That's the fantasy millions of Americans buy into every year. But the truth? Lottery tickets and gambling are nothing more than a cleverly disguised tax on hope, and it's one of the fastest ways to fall further behind. Let's break it down. Your odds of getting struck by lightning are 1 in 500,000, but your odds of winning the Powerball? Try 1 in 292 million. You'd actually have better luck filling Madison Square Garden, picking one random person, and hitting the jackpot. Yet the average American still tosses away about $400 a year on lottery tickets money that almost never comes back. Take Sarah from Ohio, for example. Over 12 years, she spent more than $15,000 chasing dreams on scratch-offs and big jackpots. But her biggest win? $50. Meanwhile, if she'd just invested that same amount in an index fund, she could have over $50,000 to her name after 30 years. Now, look at how wealthy people play the game. They don't gamble away their future on random chance. They make calculated investments in real estate, in stocks, in their own businesses, where the odds are stacked much more in their favor. Wealth isn't built on luck. It's built on smart, consistent choices. Still want to scratch that gambling itch? Set a strict play budget and keep it under 2% of your disposable income. Or better yet, turn that thrill-seeking energy into investing. Apps like Acorns and Robinhood make putting your money to work just as easy and way more likely to pay off over time. The worst part about gambling losses? They're usually slow and steady. But the next financial trap is a high-speed wallet vacuum, and nearly 40% of Americans are caught in its grip right now. Wealth killer number 5. Plastic chains how credit card debt keeps you in financial prison. That slim, shiny credit card in your pocket? For millions of Americans, it's less a ticket to freedom and more like a set of invisible handcuffs. With sky-high interest rates, often 20% or more credit card debt, doesn't just nibble away at your paycheck. It devours your financial future, leaving nothing but regret in its wake. Here's how the trap is set. Maybe you start out with a $5,000 balancing new furniture, a television, maybe a vacation you thought you deserved. If you only pay the minimum every month, you could be shackled to that debt for more than 15 years and pay back over $10,000 in interest alone. That's right. You end up buying everything twice, all so the banks can line their pockets. Just ask Dave from Boston. He racked up $7,000 in debt on his card-mostly everyday stuff. Nothing wild. But by making just the minimum payments, he ended up paying back $16,000. That's nearly 10 grand in pure interest, siphoned straight to the bank. And here's a dirty little secret. Banks love when you pay the minimum. They've designed those low monthly payments to keep you paying for as long as possible, stretching your debt and their profits to the max. It's a perfect wealth transfer from your future straight to Wall Street. So how do the financially savvy handle credit cards? They play an entirely different game. They pay off the full balance every single month, using cards for perks cashback, airline miles, fraud protection, but never, ever for a loan. Cards like Chase Freedom and Citi Double Cash can actually pay you to spend if you never pay interest. Already stuck in credit card quicksand? There's a way out. Try the avalanche method. Attack the card with the highest interest rate first. Pay minimums on the rest. And once the first is gone, snowball those payments into the next. Tools like undebt.it or Tiller Money can help you see your progress and keep you on track. Ready to break free? The next wealth killer on our list hides in plain sight. It's a golden ticket millions of Americans have been told to chase but often leads straight to decades of debt, not a pot of gold. Wealth killer number 6. The diploma debt trap when college becomes a lifetime bill. Go to college, get a degree, land a great job. That was the promise, right? For generations, Americans were told that higher education was the key to prosperity. But in today's world, that advice can leave you locked into decades of debt with nothing but a fancy piece of paper to show for it. Let's look at the numbers. A 4-year degree now averages more than $100,000. Many graduates walk off campus not with opportunity, but with a financial burden that shadows them for years. The average student debt in the U.S. is over $37,000, and for some, especially in fields with low starting salaries, the number climbs above $100,000. That means for every Jennifer with a $60,000 art degree and a $32,000 starting salary, there are thousands more whose dreams of financial freedom get crushed under a mountain of student loans. The problem isn't education, it's failing to weigh what you'll actually get back for what you're paying. The truly wealthy never stop asking, what's my return on investment? Will this degree actually boost my earning power, or is there a better way to get the skills I need? Smart alternatives are everywhere. Certification programs in tech, data analysis, or IT cost a fraction of a traditional degree and can land you a $60,000 job right out of the gate. Community college for the first 2 years? Huge savings. Online learning platforms like Coursera, edX, or LinkedIn Learning offer powerful courses for hundreds, not thousands soft dollars. And if you're determined to go the traditional route, do your homework. Compare average salaries by field. Look at public versus private schools. Don't start the process until you know the costs and what you'll likely earn. Scholarships, grants, and employer reimbursement programs can all make the difference between a smart investment and a lifelong financial drag. At least with education, you're investing in yourself. But up next is a wealth destroyer that's even harder to justify, one that turns status into stress and dreams into dust. Wealth killer number 7. Luxury toys when chasing status sinks your savings. There's an old joke among boat owners. The 2 happiest days in your life are the day you buy a boat and the day you finally sell it. Underneath the punchline is a harsh reality most folks don't see until it's too late. Boats, vacation homes, fancy motorcycles, and other luxury toys aren't just status symbols, they're cash-eating monsters hiding in plain sight. On the surface, buying a boat or a weekend house seems like the reward you've earned for all those long hours at work. But let's do the math. A $50,000 boat comes with $5,000, $10,000 a year in maintenance, insurance, storage, gas, and repairs. That's money flying out of your account year after year, whether you're out on the water or the thing's just sitting in storage. The real kicker? Most boats and luxury toys spend over 90% of their time unused. Mike from Tampa learned this the hard way. He bought his dream boat for $65,000 but ended up using it just 8 days a year. That means every single trip cost him nearly $2,000, not counting all the headaches that came with it. Now, look at what financially savvy people do. They rent the luxury. Why blow 50 grand on a boat you'll use a handful of times a year when you can rent one for $400 to $600 per day, no strings, no maintenance, no ongoing bills? Apps like Get My Boat or Boat Setter give you the experience without the lifelong drain. Here's a reality check. That $50,000 spent on a boat plus a decade of upkeep could instead become $215,000 if invested with just average stock market returns. Ask yourself, are a few look-at-me weekends on the lake really worth torching your future nest egg? If you're still tempted, remember the 5% rule. If annual upkeep on a luxury toy is more than 5% of your after-tax income, you can't really afford it. Craving the experience, not the ownership? Look into membership clubs or fractional ownership. You'll get the perks without the pain. But if you thought luxury toys were bad, the next wealth destroyer is even sneakier. It disguises itself as a smart investment, when really, it's just a way for someone else to get rich off your hard-earned money. Wealth killer number 8. The insurance illusion: how whole life policies drain your wealth. If you've ever sat through a pitch for whole life insurance, you've probably heard it framed as the ultimate 2-for-1 deal. It's life insurance and an investment. But here's the honest truth. The industry rarely shares whole life policies, are a money trap disguised as financial security, quietly siphoning cash from your future for decades. Here's how it works. For the same $500,000 coverage, a healthy 45-year-old might pay $400 a year for a 20-year term policy, or $4,000 a year for whole life. That's a staggering $3,600 difference every single year. And where does that extra money go? In the early years, mostly to commissions and fees. You could shell out $40,000 in premiums over a decade and still have less cash value in your policy than you've paid in. James from Ohio learned this lesson the hard way. After 8 years of faithfully paying into his whole life policy, he tried to cash out only to discover he'd get back less than he'd put in. Meanwhile, his agent had pocketed thousands in commissions right from the start. Wealthy, financially savvy people have long since cracked the code. They buy simple term life insurance for the years they actually need it, like when they have kids or a mortgage. The rest? They invest the difference in assets that actually grow like index funds, 401ks, or IRAs. The result? More protection for less money and real long-term growth. Already stuck in a whole life policy? You're not without options. You can consider a partial withdrawal, a policy loan, or even a tax-free exchange to a more efficient plan or annuity. But before making any moves, talk to a fee-only financial advisor, not a commission-driven agent. Don't fall for the marketing hype. When it comes to protecting your family and building wealth, simple almost always beats complicated. Ready to spot the next stealthy money drain? The following financial trap is so normalized, you probably see it every day, thanks to billion-dollar ad campaigns convincing you to upgrade, replace, and overspend on gadgets you barely even need. Wealth killer number 9. The upgrade spiral: how chasing the latest gadgets eats your wealth. You know the drill. A new phone drops, social media lights up, and suddenly your perfectly good device feels like a relic. Every year, tech giants flood us with ads convincing us that the old model is hopelessly outdated even if it still works flawlessly. It's a psychological game called planned obsolescence, and it's designed to quietly drain your wallet, year after year. Let's talk numbers. Upgrading to the latest $1,200 smartphone every year for a decade adds up to more than $12,000. Robert from Denver did the math and realized he'd spent over $14,000 on iPhone upgrades in 10 years. Had he invested that money in an index fund instead, he'd have more than $20,000 today. But it's not just phones, laptops, smartwatches, Tablets all sold as must-haves, all with incremental improvements that rarely change your life. The reality: the performance leap from one year's model to the next is often barely noticeable. Yet millions buy in, convinced they need the latest and greatest just to keep up. Here's what wealthy, financially smart people do differently. They hang on to tech until it truly can't keep up with their needs. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive, famously stuck with a basic flip phone long after smartphones became mainstream. When an upgrade is truly needed, savvy shoppers look for last year's models at a steep discount, or go for certified refurbished devices that offer warranty protection without the premium price tag. Even something as simple as upgrading your computer's memory or storage for $200 can extend its life by years, saving you thousands. Bottom line: don't let marketing dictate your money moves. Use your tech until it's done its job, and invest the rest. Your future net worth will thank you. But if you think gadget upgrades are the biggest waste, wait until you see the next financial trap, a billion-dollar industry that convinces couples to trade decades of wealth for a single day of celebration. Wealth killer number 10. The wedding money trap: trading a day for decades of debt. There's no day more hyped in American culture than your wedding. Magazines, reality shows, and endless Pinterest boards paint the picture. To have a truly special day, you must go big. The result? The average U.S. wedding now costs over $30,000, and countless couples start married life already deep in the red, trading their financial future for a few hours of glitz. But here's the truth almost nobody talks about: all that spending doesn't buy happiness. In fact, research shows that couples who spend less on their weddings are actually more likely to stay together. The cost of the party has zero connection to the quality of the marriage. Jennifer and Michael in Boston figured this out. Instead of dropping 30 grand on one night, they celebrated with a small, meaningful ceremony for $5,000 and used the $25 they saved as a down payment on their first homia move that set them up for real wealth, not just one flashy memory. That down payment appreciated over the years, growing their net worth while most newlyweds were still paying off flower arrangements and a DJ. Let's do the math. Invest $30,000 at age 30, and by 65, you could have over $450,000 if you just let it ride in the market. Is a single day of extravagance worth $500,000 of your future freedom? Financially smart couples are rewriting the script. They focus on what truly matters: connection, love, experience, see not the spectacle. Weekday ceremonies, creative venues like parks or museums, digital invitations, and minimalist decor can slash costs without sacrificing any of the magic. Tools like Zola and Wedding Wire help keep your budget in check and your priorities straight. Here's the golden rule: if you can't pay for the wedding in cash without dipping into your future goals or going into debt, scale it back. Your future self and your marriage will thank you. Final takeaway: knowledge over illusion. While most people are busy buying the illusion of wealth, new cars, designer brands, dream vacations, you now hold the real financial playbook. Wealth isn't about how you look, but about the smart moves you make and the traps you avoid. So which of these wealth killers will you tackle first? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to rate how helpful this info was on a scale of 1 to 10. Your future self is counting on you. Make the decisions today that will build the life you truly deserve.